name's Corbin Halls, and this is the story of Popeye. So the story of Popeye starts in 2022. Had a couple deer on a property I was chasing. It was kind of getting difficult. They were showing up sporadically, so I made the choice to throw a camera up on one of my turkey hunting spots. And those were the first pictures of Popeye I got. It's kind of a broken up, what I thought was an old deer, just real wide, crazy buck. Like I said, I only left that camera out for like a week, and that was about it for 2022. So 2023 rolls around. I'm still hunting the same property I was in 2022, and still had most of the same deer. However, a lot of those deer didn't really blow up like I thought they would. They kind of maintained their size. I mean, I was still interested in them, but they're tricky deer to hunt. So I decided to once again throw a camera back out on my turkey hunting spot with Popeye, and sure enough, within an hour of throwing the camera up, a picture of Popeye came through, and so that was the first one of 2023. Throughout the season, he was showing up consistently just after dark, and then rolling into November, he started showing up in daylight, and so that's when it really became something that I really wanted to prosecute and go after. Wasn't the greatest weather to hunt. It was like a 45-degree day, no wind at all. In this place I'm hunting, I kind of sit down in a bowl, so I was a little worried about the conditions. So I got set up. It was an interesting day because my tree stand was extremely crooked. It leaned back really hard, so it was hard to draw. So I actually took the time before the sun came up to throw a couple pieces of plywood behind the top stake of my tree stand to flatten it out a little bit, and then I threw up the camera. It's kind of an interesting deal as I hadn't hunted with a camera for like 4 years. The last time I took a camera out was the last time I had a decent buck come in, and I actually chose to pass him because I was hunting a pretty big buck that year. So camera might be a little bit of a good luck charm, but the sun comes up, and I actually see just out of the corner of my eye a really big bodied deer about 450 yards away in a bean field. And so I grunted a few times. He probably didn't even hear me. I think he was on a doe, and he jumped down into, there's a pond, he jumped down into the cattails. Kind of looked like he was chasing a doe. And so I was actually texting my buddy at the time. I told him that I just saw a really big bodied deer. I wasn't able to get my glass on him to figure out his rack size, but he had the idea to maybe just tickle the antlers together a little bit. So that's what I did. Kind of just sat in the tree stand for like 30 minutes after that. Nothing really was happening. And then out of the corner of my eye, from the end of this little pocket that I was in, all I saw was antlers, and it was Popeye standing at the end of the field. He just kind of worked his way across the field real slow. He was grunting and head down, and the way it's set up is it's a little pocket of a field and then another pocket behind it, and I'm in a little tree line. This property doesn't have a lot of timber, and so I was a little worried that he was going to come in and not see a deer and get nervous and take off. as soon as he came across the field grunting, I noticed that he was looking in my direction, but he wasn't looking up, so I knew he was still searching for that deer that was making the noise. He ended up coming in. I had a little bit of corn on the ground, and luckily he didn't take the crossing that was probably 50 yards to my east. He came into the corn for a bite. I didn't have a shot, but I was mentally preparing myself to possibly take a front-on shot. It's something I've been researching a little bit, and I knew shot placement was key. I was confident with my bow that day, and so I was ready to take the shot, but that was not my first option, so I gave him a few minutes to take a couple steps. Finally, he took one step to grab a bite to eat, and gave me like a 1/4-2 shot and with his leg forward, and I knew that I could probably slip it right in behind his shoulder. He hopped off like his leg was pinned, so I was a little bit worried that I did bury it in his shoulder. I didn't get much penetration. And then he actually went about 10 yards and stood there for a second, and then I hear him cough. And so right at that moment I knew that I had gotten alone. I didn't have the greatest patience, so after about 30 minutes I got down and walked up to him with another arrow nock, ready to take a follow-up shot. And once I got up to the fence, I saw him laying there, and he was clearly had some blood coming out of his mouth, like he was coughing up blood, so I knew he was dead right there.